difference and contribute to every chapter I was a member of, because a lot of people don't know that with African American sororities, we continue to be very active in our graduate chapters and working with our undergraduates and in our community. And so I instantly had that connection and met so many great people. For example, in Jackson, Mississippi, where I was a member, a former Supreme Bachelor, Glenda Glover, was the president of one of those chapters. So you never know who you're going to meet and the impact they're going to have. And then she is soon to be retired president of Tennessee State University, a big champion of Kamala Harris campaign. And so these are individuals that I had an opportunity to meet because I was a part of that chapter in a great community and saw the great things they were doing. And I wanted to be a part of that, which is why I became a member. And I haven't regretted it one day. It's been beautiful for me.
So do you have family history? I mean, was there other AKAs, or are you the first generation of AKA in your
No,
family?
see, Ed, you had to go there. You're always going somewhere,
I'm
Ed.
not going anywhere. I
Oh,
don't know. I'm genuinely asking a
okay. Good
question.
question.
I'm
Good
trying to play
question.
reporter today.
First generation
Your first
in my
generation.
family. Yes, yes.
Oh, okay.
I have a very close cousin who is a man of Omega Psi Phi.
I'm sorry.
And I have other cousins. He's amazing. Who's a member of Sigma,
Ooh,
Phi
sorry.
Beta Sigma. But I I'm a first generation, and all of my siblings went to college. But I saw the importance of being a part of a great sisterhood, and I love it.
So there's people out there that say, well, there's all this hazing and the stuff that we hear about, that really, I mean, it's few and far in between when you hear about these stories, the craziness that goes on. But you know, for me, I remember I wasn't gonna be Greek. I did not have an influence in my immediate family. I had a cousin that's recently passed that was a member of Omega Psi Phi. When I got to campus, he said, "Check out the bros." And I did, and I was like, "Hey, I was like, no, be walking around in old boots and rolling around in the grass, smelling like dog poop. No, thank you."
Oh, wait.
So, no, I
Wow.
mean, look, it is what it is.
Oh
All
my
my Omega
gosh.
friends are like, "Oh, God, really, Ed?" But by my second year on campus, I started to see something a little bit different, and I said, "You know what? That's for me. I think." And then I actually did the research. I started reading, and I was like, "Honorable achievement at every field of human endeavor." That's been my life story to date. I want to be affiliated with these guys, and then I started my process. And like you, I don't regret not 1 second of it. There's not a portion of my life that hasn't been positively shaded by Kappa. And I was talking to some brothers last night, and I said to them something. It just came off the top of my head, but it was something that Eddie MacArthur Jr., who passed away several years ago now, said to me. And he was like, "If some young brother doesn't cry at your funeral, you're doing Kappa wrong."
Oh,
they're gonna try to do something, I'm sure. I just don't know who's gonna be picking up the trash bags behind them. But anyway, that's a whole other story. So, Kathy, speaking of black fraternities and sororities, I was thinking today, like I saw you at New Mount Zion Missionary Baptist Church
That was me.
for our
Yes.
121st church anniversary. And I was sitting there and I was thinking, like, if I moved to a new town and I'd never been to a black church before, what would that feel like? I mean, like when you moved back to Tampa, like all of the churches you could have gone to, you started visiting black church. Is there
I
a
did.
reason why
I
you
did.
went to a black church and not one of the more mainstream, multicultural, non-denominational churches? I'm just curious.
Now, Ed, I can flow with anyone who is not crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And I have been known to cover crazy people. But when I go to a city, I ask people like you who have a great reputation, Ed, where do I go for A, B, and C? And so I did the same thing with New Mount Zion. I asked you, and you invited me. And I have really enjoyed the experience because the pastor happens to be a Florida A&M University alum. I'm just saying, but that did not determine, or that wasn't the reason I went. You invited me, and I have enjoyed it, and I have continued to visit that congregation. It was amazing to listen to the history of the church, and not only the history of the church, but all the ministries and the great things that you're doing in the community, which is very important to me. But I have visited mainstream and some other multicultural denominations, or not denominations. They're non-denominational, and have enjoyed those worship experience. So when you talk about the black church, I was reared in a small Pentecostal church.
Oh, me
Energy,
too. Me too.
energy, music. I was in the choir. A little known history,
Okay.
fact about me. So I
Sound
enjoyed
like
the
an alto.
music. Soprano.
What?
I directed the choir too,
Oh,
Ed,
look at all.
because
Look, the truth is coming out, y'all.
because I'm an okay singer. So
Lorenz Johnson, you hear this? You got a recruit sitting in the studio today.
I love the choir. I love everything about the black church, and the worship is important to me. But I have been a part of other congregations that are multicultural. Enjoyed the uplifting music there, and the ministries, and the teaching is the most important thing to me.
What about the shouting? I mean, if you grew up Pentecostal, you go to Baptist church. It's similar, but it's different. Because I remember my Pentecostal experiences. At any point in time, between 11:15 and 11:45, somebody might jump up and start running around the church screaming. Now they didn't roll around on the floor, but it was a lot of crazy. I'd be like, "Hey, is she gonna be
You
okay?"
know, my church did not have some of the typical Pentecostal sightings and showings and demonstrations, but shouting was absolutely part of the worship service. And I like the spontaneity of that, but I also like the structure. I was a member of the United Methodist Church,
Mm.
so I'm that ENTJ who can be an ENTP, or the J is people who like the structure more so, and the P is more so for those who like the spontaneity. So I'm a little bit of both.
Well, you sound like somebody who runs a business helping people understand their
Yes,
personalities and how
yes.
that fits into the workplace. We're going to talk about that when we come back after the break. This is Straight Up the Middle with Ed and Rain and the award winning Kathy Tums. We will be back right after this break.
I'm glad you brought that up because I love the spontaneity of the
Pentecostal
Pentecostal
church.
church, but I have to have some structure. I do. And that's why I like your church, because you all, the worship and everybody that needs to, and people get into it. And
It's so funny. I used to be an ESTJ, and then I took a personality no, that was the night before.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. It shouldn't be Irish. It should be encoded.
Cody. What do you mean?
No,
Bottom
I
left.
get it. I
Bottom left.
totally get it.
He
He
it's
juggled a
encoding.
lot.
Yeah,
Encoding.
it was crazy
Yeah,
week, and
go down.
I
Hit
realized
that
this
again.
week how
Highlight it. Highlight the MP3.
one little
Highlight the
thing
MP3.
going
Highlight the
wrong
MP3.
can,
Hit the toolbar
and then
and
it's
go
like,
to the stream
okay, I need
archive.
somebody to pick up the kids. Oh, I need somebody to do this.
Yeah, it's encoding.
No. But did you hit the start button? Go back
Looks
and
like we're
highlight
coming
it.
back in.
Oh, highlight. Oh, he's coming back in. He's coming back in. It's recording.
Okay.
Is our volume back up,
No,
ladies and gentlemen?
volume's not up. Hold on. Come on. Sit down. Sit. Sit in. Move in. Go ahead, D. Just come in. Put the headphones on. Let it come in. Let it go. You coming in all right?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. You're back up on Straight Up the Middle with your guest host, Edna Rain, and our super guest host, Miss Kathy Times. We have been talking about all kinds of things so far this morning. We were just talking about the black church and the visitations you've had at New Mount Zion. After you visited 3 times, you're a visiting member.
Oh,
So,
okay. That's great to know.
we expect your offering, your tithes and offering on a weekly basis now. But in all seriousness, like I've been to churches that are predominantly white, and I'm like you. Anywhere the Spirit of the Lord is, I'm good with being there. But it's different. And I remember talking to some friends that they are in predominantly white churches, and the glaring emptiness they felt during the George Floyd riots and protests, and I should say protests, they weren't riots, but that summer of 2020 was so tough for so many of them because they were looking for their leadership, their church leadership, to speak out on those issues and be able to relate to them on them, and they couldn't. And I remember saying, okay, well, God is a God of all people, but he is also a God for oppressed people.
Right.
He is not going to be on the side of the oppressor. He's going to be on the side of the oppressed. And trying to counsel some of my friends through that time was tough because it was the first time they said, hey, I love the music here. I love the people here, but they're really not speaking to me and my family in this moment. And that was one thing I could say at us being at New Mount Zion and other churches in the community. I know that their shepherds were feeding their flock with what they needed at that time. I mean, you have any thoughts on that?
It's interesting now that I'm older and looking at the politics in our lives and in
Yeah.
our churches.
Yeah.
And there are conservatives who, for the most part, like my mother has some conservative values, but when it comes to helping the poor and the underserved communities, she worked in an elementary school in the inner city as well as the suburbs, and her heart has always been with giving, and helping the underserved communities. And so she is not listening to the show right now. So I can say this, that she really has conservative values, but she doesn't like to hear when people in church become so political that they are supporting certain people who are not helping our communities. So she may have conservative values, but she does not like to hear people in the pulpit talking about not helping the underserved and defending the poor, because there's so many scriptures in the Bible where Jesus talks about helping the poor, especially.
Absolutely. In the Bible it says the poor will always be with us. The concept of gleaning the land, to leave that 10% behind for the poor to come get it. That's all biblical, right? So, you bring up a great point. During the elections, both in 16 and 20, the presidential elections, we saw evangelical preachers and predominantly white churches all across the country stand up and say, that's our guy. He has been called and ordained by God. We should be voting for Donald Trump. And I remember hearing that and saying, okay, I don't see that in the word anywhere where my spiritual leader is supposed to be telling me how I'm supposed to cast a vote.
Exactly.
I mean, that's how we got in trouble when this country was founded originally. I mean, we have used Christianity and religion in particular for a number of unfortunately bad ways that have had adverse effects on us as a people, but what we're seeing today with the politics and mix of religion is crazy.
And I think our churches should be
encouraging us to vote. There is a role for the church, but trying to steer you to vote for an individual in particular. I know that the politicians come to our churches, and I'm sure that the ministers will welcome any politician who wants to come, Ed, or not.
Well,
to speak.
To speak. I'll tell you right now. You come to New Mount Zion, we might wave at you, but you ain't getting a microphone.
Yeah, I did see one of the candidates come during the pandemic, and so I think that's a great rule. Yeah.
Because it keeps everybody out of trouble, right?
Exactly.
And you don't look like you're pandering for votes. Let's be honest, when a politician shows up in your church, that's what he's doing, unless he or she has been there several times before. They need to be consistent, but it is what it is. But what gets me with all of this is that the mix. Like, you can't say you're for me when you're visiting my church and then do some things that are against me. And that's where I've been disappointed with the church overall when it comes to mixing with politics. They have not held those elected officials accountable for the things they said they were going to do.
Exactly.
I mean, speaking of things that people said they were going to do, we're looking at the state of Alabama right now and some of the things that are getting challenged. And specifically, you were talking to me this week about the Black Venture Capitalist Fund that was set up for black women. And we've got lawsuits that have prevented those funds from coming out. And you have a friend who you've asked to call in today to talk a little bit about that.
Exactly. I mean, it's been something that's weighed heavily on me because I participated in a fellowship that was geared toward helping to educate us about mergers and acquisitions. And Erin Haynes is the editor-at-large of the 19th. She's reported in mainstream media for the Washington Post, a contributor to MSNBC. She's had a phenomenal career in journalism for nearly 20 years, and I've known her for many years. And her newsletter this week I received in my email talked about the attack on diversity, equity, and inclusion, and of course Edward Bloom continuing to now. People, if you don't know, he's bringing lawsuits against law firms and the venture capital fund out of Atlanta that is awarding grants to African American women who receive less than 1% of venture capital funding. I'm that person who would be applying for such grants. So when I saw Erin's article in my inbox, I had to talk to her and invite her to be a part of the show. So is she available now, guys?
I think, Erin, are you there with us?
I am. Good morning.
Good morning. And welcome to Straight Up the Middle with your guest host, Edna Rain, and other guest host, Kathy Times. We are just sitting in for some folks today, but we wanted to bring you on because we know you know all things related to this particular issue. So thanks for getting up with us this Saturday morning.
Well, Ed, Kathy, it's great to be with you, even though it is to talk about a topic that should be concerning for folks. So thank you for bringing me on to have this conversation.
So what exactly is going on here? I mean, as Kathy said, less than 1% of these venture capital funds in general are going to companies that are run by black people, specifically black women. And Bloom is out here suing left and right, saying it's unfair and unequal and that this should not be taking place in the 2023 America. What are we not seeing?
Well, I mean, I think, partially what you're saying is kind of this retrenchment by folks who are not in support of efforts to expand programs, institutions that have tried to, right some of the historically disproportionate effects of frankly, the legacy of slavery in this country. And we saw this summer the affirmative action decision that happened in the Harvard case with the Supreme Court. But really, even then, I had people who, kind of do this work around DEI kind of warn me that affirmative action was only the beginning, right? Mm-hmm. And so not long after that, you see this case against this venture capital fund, the Fearless Fund, that's based out of Atlanta, where I'm from. And, these are black women who are trying to raise money to help black women business owners. Black women are the main people in this country who start small businesses, but often they lack the resources, the institutional support from banks and others really to get their businesses off the ground. And so this fund, trying to address that, and Ed Blum's group, it's a conservative group, sues and says that their practices are actually unlawfully racially discriminatory as a way to challenge this program and to say that this should not exist to help Black women. If it doesn't help everybody, then it's not fair, right?
But
And we know that when there are not intentional efforts to help people who have been historically marginalized, often those people don't get the help that they need.
that it's just mind-boggling, because when I hear the word discrimination, I'm not thinking about white members of our society that make up the majority right now. I'm thinking about, as we were talking about, oppressed people, underrepresented people, women. What's the basis for the lawsuit?
Well, hold on, Aaron. I want to put a pin in what you just said, because that is kind of the climate that we are in now. Obviously, yes, in this country, traditionally, we have not thought about white Americans as, kind of disenfranchised or oppressed or victims. But if you look back in our country's history, which is also, by the way, a part of this whole conversation, what we can and should be teaching young people about the history of this country, we know that after the Civil War, you had white Americans who, we were seeing claiming that they were victims, right? The white Americans that were on the losing side of the Civil War, which we know was fought over slavery. And so making them whole became a priority at that time. And so now you have a climate where you have, conservative groups, conservative media, really trying to delegitimize these programs, suggesting that they are disenfranchising some white folks, or that white people now are the victim of some kind of anti-racism. So it's really interesting to think about, because this is happening, again, not just in the higher education space. It's happening in workplaces that, just a year, 2 years, 3 years ago were champions of DEI efforts and are now very nervous about wanting to seem like they are excluding white Americans, when we know that the point is for more inclusion for everyone with these programs.
I have continued to counsel people when they ask me about, job offers that they receive, about being the chief diversity officer, or even going into HR. And I always tell them, if your goal is to be the CEO, don't take either one of those roles.
Wow.
Because they're basically, if you're a person of color, you're being placed in a box. And oftentimes you're being put in that role because you're a person of color. And the assumption is you can identify with the need that's out there. And most of these chief diversity officers, when they think they're coming into the role to help empower maybe black folks, I'll be very specific here, they find out that the company's definition of who falls under diversity and equity and should be included is extremely broad. And so as a result, the efforts that get put into place don't necessarily move the needle for the persons that they intended to move the needle for. And it becomes increasingly frustrating. And by the way, I've seen it happen with some companies where they've taken that position. They didn't change the title, but instead of having it as a C-level position, they make it a director role, where you're reporting to the human resources person. So companies were very smart in 2020s. All the statements were great. We're going to create these positions. But as we've moved further and further away from that, we've seen the shift where it's like, hey, this is important, but it's not as important as it used to be.
Exactly.
We're seeing a lot of those roles being slashed, but also, yes, if diversity is a thing that is valued, within a corporate workspace, you can tell that, just even kind of based on what the hierarchy is in that organization structure. That's a good point you're making.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a fact that diverse companies are 40% more profitable than non-diverse companies, especially at the C-level positions. But I forgot, we were having a conversation a few weeks back, and it was like, listen, we can celebrate the fact that we have black women that are running companies in America, but let's not forget there's 5 black CEOs of companies in the Fortune 500 today. 5? So I find it ludicrous that we have these individuals out here suing because they feel discriminated against somehow. It's just nuts to me. Kathy, you're a business owner. I mean, the struggles of getting a loan and trying to move forward. I mean, what is that like?
That venture capital funding, and just to be able to be a part of a program over the summer in which they were assisting us with becoming skilled at mergers and acquisitions, which was foreign to me, Aaron, as a journalist. I'm so glad that I participated in the program for 16 weeks, but I got a deeper understanding of the skills that I need. But also, if we don't have the opportunities to access this funding, which is why the Fearless Fund is so important, we can have all the concepts and the great energy and ideas in the world. But at the end of the day, we have to have customers. We need to understand how to fund our businesses. And so this was a wake-up call for me personally. And I just wonder, Aaron, what's the impact, you think, when these cases are overturned and these lawsuits come? And what impact are you seeing when you were in the mainstream media with the Washington Post, and now you're with the 19th Amendment, which focuses very much so on women and politics? What's the impact in our African-American communities from the seats that you're in now as a journalist?
Yeah, I mean, well, a lot of the folks that I talk to about really the work of creating a freer and fairer democracy in society is that attacks on DEI can create a chilling effect for folks, even if they have not been sued, right? If they see something like this happening somewhere else in their industry, they're wondering, what does this mean for me, and what do I need to do to insulate myself potentially from, a lawsuit coming my way? And so that does have an impact on the people that these programs are actually intended to help, right? Whether that is Black students, who are trying to get into college or get an internship, for example, where you have internship programs that are trying to think about diversity, trying to make their programs more diverse, and now have to kind of hesitate as to how they can make that happen because, somebody might come along and say, that the program that they're applying for shouldn't, have a diversity kind of initiative. We're hearing it from teachers who, are trying to teach the fuller history of our country, and their efforts, obviously, to keep that from happening in places like Florida. I know I don't have to tell you all, kind of leading the way on trying to crush those efforts to really give children a fuller and more honest telling of where our country has been, so that, we don't make the same mistakes going forward, but really a suggestion that should be abandoned because that harms white children to hear about that and to suggest that they are being blamed for that, which obviously is absolutely not the intent of efforts to really include more people in the telling of our nation's story. There are so few kind of, to the point that both of you raised, and when I was reporting this, we're talking about programs that help, a small percentage of people that are looking for opportunities that would level the playing field a bit more, right? That would make things a bit more equal. And even helping those few people is a bridge too far for people who do not want to see these efforts continue, right? 1% of funding going to Black women, for which means 99% of the funding is going somewhere else. To other
Exactly.
These are not people who are kind of blocking anyone from getting anything.
Exactly. Well, Aaron, it's always good to hear from you. Please keep continuing to do what you do so well.
Amen.
When can we see you next on MSNBC?
Oh, wow. That should be interesting. I think I'll be on increasingly more as this election continues. I will be on, for those of you who are fans of the show, The Circus, that airs on Showtime. I'll be on this Sunday at 7 o'clock as a guest host.
Okay.
And part of that episode includes an interview that I did with Vice President Kamala Harris, who is on a college tour right now as part of her campaign re-election efforts. And so we talked about 2024. We also talked about, obviously, the ongoing conflict in Israel. And so some really interesting comments that people can tune in. And then, of course, I have my newsletter, The Amendment. Thank you so much, Kathy, for being a subscriber. It is free at 19thnews.org, as is all of our journalism around gender, politics, power, culture. So I encourage people to check us out, 19thnews.org. You can subscribe to our free newsletters and read all of our journalism there. But thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. And enjoy the rest of your Saturday.
You just got a new subscriber. Thanks for being
on. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
All right. We're going to take another break. Thank you, Aaron Hayes, for joining us today. And we will be right back with Straight Up the Middle in about 2 minutes.
Touch Radio, the most loved station across the nation. In Touch Radio. Tell a friend. In Touch Radio.
Hi, I'm Angela Birdsong, and during the week, they call me the Medicare lady. I help people successfully transition onto Medicare, sometimes Medicaid. I also help people with life insurance, long-term care insurance, and annuities. Please do not try to navigate Medicare without me. It's complicated. 813-476-4837.
Who doesn't love being number one? When your team's dominating the standings, or your favorite band rocks the charts at number one, it feels good, right? Kind of like how it feels when you have auto insurance with State Farm. Because making you feel like number one is an honor your local State Farm agent takes seriously. Through the good times and not so good, your State Farm agent's proud to be here to help life go right.
Call Herman White at 961-6661. That's 961-6661.
When you've been injured, you deserve help from an attorney that knows how to handle your injury claim. This is Attorney Clinton Paris from the Law Office of Clinton Paris. For over a decade, I worked for insurance companies, and now I use that knowledge and experience to help people that have been injured. For a free consultation, call me, Attorney Clinton Paris, at 813-413-7924. That's 813-413-7924, or at parislawoffice.com. At the Law Office of Clinton Paris, we take the pain out of being hurt. Offices, Riverview.
And we are back on Straight Up the Middle. We are standing in for Clinton Paris. And who is we? It's the award-winning Kathy Times, Ed and Rain. We are here just kind of squatting today. We don't own the show. We're just running the show.
I'm just happy to be here, Ed.
We are happy you are here with us today. So thank you for bringing Erin on. I mean, a wealth of information. I wish we had more time to talk to her about this issue, but it just seems like everything that's been designed to help black people, not give us anything, but help us somewhat get to a level of equity with the rest of the country is being attacked every single day. From the Voting Rights Act, you see the state of Alabama's basically challenging the Supreme Court by saying, hey, you just got rid of affirmative action, so why do we need minority districts? To the venture capitalist fund that's been set up for black women being attacked by these folks. It's really sad. I really believe the top 1% wants to control everything, and they try to divide us by making us feel like the resources that are out there, money especially, is finite. And as a result, it's your fault that I don't have what I should have. Meanwhile, they're making money hand over fist while we're busy fighting each other. You know what I mean?
And just trying to make ends meet.
That's right.
Most people in America are trying to make ends meet, whether you're white, black, Latino. Ed and I had an observation I shared with you all briefly about I was called to federal court jury duty. And in the pool, Ed, where they determine who comes to report for jury duty is based on registered voters, I saw one black man. And maybe there were others who I just didn't identify as African American, but I saw one in a jury pool room of at least 75 people.
That's kind of rough.
Just saying, people, we got to register to vote. That's all I'm saying. It was enlightening because there were 3 defendants or plaintiffs of color, black women. So men, women of color, we got to register to vote. Okay, that's it.
So, no, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I mean, as an attorney, I can tell you, like you said, your voter registration determines who's pulled into the jury pool, right? So when we talk about having a trial and you having an opportunity to advocate in front of a jury of your peers, I don't know.
Your peers aren't on in that jury box because I was dismissed.
You were dismissed.
And I knew I would be because I had some personal things that I had to take care of. But if I had not had those obligations, I would have gladly served.
You would have served.
Absolutely.
Speaking of service, Louisiana has a new governor.
Mm-hmm.
Louisiana has a Republican governor again. They had, for a number of years, Governor Edwards, who was a Democrat dealing with the Republican legislature. New elections, he's been voted out. So January things are changing. But the black vote was suppressed.
Again.
But it wasn't suppressed through the traditional efforts of, changing the laws and moving the boxes and, all that stuff. People just didn't come out. They weren't inspired. Your cousins didn't come out to vote, Kathy. What is going on?
My cousins are in Florida and they vote. Mother makes sure they vote. But I'm just saying, I'm picking up where you're putting down. This is happening not just in Louisiana. It was more evident in Louisiana. But the number of people, it's just, I'm not sure where why are we not inspired to vote? Why?
I personally think we've made some assumptions, and I literally was cautioning a couple friends this week, and these are nonpartisan friends, right? We were just having this brief conversation about the speaker vote that's taking place in D.C., and what I said to them was, no matter what the Republicans do, it is not a guarantee that the Democrats are going to retake the House or that Democrats will pick up seats anywhere across state legislatures in the country. It's not guaranteed. And Democrats tend to stand back and say, look at us. We're so much smarter and better than them. They can't get their stuff together. That's why you should vote for us. But come election time, the Republicans are doing the things that get you elected. They're spending the money. They're targeting the voters. They're knocking on the doors. They're registering more voters. And Democrats are like, but we're smarter.
They are.
But we're smarter, and you should vote for us because we can do better. But they make no effort to go out there and get the vote. So I think what you're seeing right now, in particular with the key demographic with black men, is black men have felt ignored for a very long time by the Democratic Party. Republican strategists are smart enough to say, okay, that's a group we need to go after. And we don't need them all. We just need a few. We need enough, right? So they get that enough to split the vote, and they win. That's what Trump's strategy is. I'm telling you right now. They don't want, and nor do they need, all of the black voters. And they don't need all the black male voters. They've already written the black women off. They've assumed, hey, Kamala's there. You're voting for a black woman. We ain't going to get that vote. But I literally was in Publix, and I saw this brother and his wife. They're pushing their cart along. He's wearing a shirt, had Trump's mugshot on it. And at the top, it said wanted. So I kind of glanced, turned my head, looked back, and at the bottom of the mugshot said, for president, wanted for president. We are living in some strange times, but the numbers have shown it. 74% right now in a poll from Fox News of African-American voters would vote for Biden today. 74%. That's down from 90% just 3 years ago. Democrats are in trouble. Now, I don't know that means that Republicans are doing any better, but if voters stay home, the other side automatically wins.
I think, Ed, what it says is people want other options.
Mm-hmm.
They want other options. And they have been taken for granted. Their voices, their opinions, their input are not being heard. And people need to stand up and seek and decide, I'm going to be a part of the solution. I want to run for office. The Alpha Kappa Alpha, my chapter, is going to be having a seminar. And forgive me, I don't have the information in front of me, but I will post it on my Facebook page and Twitter. If you want to run for office, they're going to have a seminar.
That's why I'm here. Thursday, November 2nd from 7 to 8:30. You have to register online. It's Gamma Theta Omega and Alpha Theta Omega together like superpowers.
Thank you,
They're
Ed.
putting this on, and you're going to have Senator Geraldine Thompson and Jasny Bernie Clark and Councilwoman Gwen Henderson. I want to say Miller because she's an AKA, but Henderson, who is a Delta. I see what y'all did there. Y'all trying to reach out to your sisters. But they're going to be putting on that How to Pursue Office forum on November 2nd. So if you're thinking about it, it'll probably be a good thing to be a part of. But I'll tell you, on the black men front, and I've got a group of friends, we're on our group chat, and we talk about these very issues. And I think what you're starting to see is because of how much the Democratic Party has embraced black women and featured black women, and the base of the party is black women, if we're being honest, you don't have a reflection of the black male populace in either party.
Right.
So when a black man sees Byron Donalds getting shine, who's announced yesterday he's going to run for Speaker of the House out of Naples, they start saying, well, dang, why do I need to vote over here when I'm not getting what I'm supposed to be? They say I'm supposed to get by voting over here. Maybe I should look on the other side and vote with the Republicans. Because guess what? They're both going to treat me equally racistly, right? I just made up a word. Is racistly a word?
It is because you said it is.
Okay, we got a new word today, ladies and gentlemen, racistly. But, I mean, seriously, like, black men are sitting here like, look, and I'm going to say some unpopular stuff this morning. Barack Obama was half black, half white, right? People say, oh, he wasn't 100% black. I think one drop of black blood, that was the rule back in the day. You're black. He's a brother. But
he looked black. Yeah.
He looked black, right? Wife was black. Kids was black. Mother-in-law was black. That's how you know he was black, because his mother-in-law was living in the house with him. But anyway. Hakeem Jeffries, light-skinned brother. Got the pretty eyes. Kappa brother, by the way. But they seem to be accepted by white America more so than a James Clyburn was. Like, we love John Lewis, but we love John Lewis when he got older and he was grandpa and he was trying to dance and look cool. But dark-skinned black men in political roles are never really embraced by all of America or even all of the Democratic Party.
I'd have to research that, Ed. You know, I'm a former investigative.
I want you to research that.
I need to check that out. But I am hearing what you're saying, because I've heard it from my family. I've heard it from friends that we don't, I mean, where do we go? And then some are voting as independents. They're registering. Well, they have to vote for somebody in the party, but they're registering as independents or libertarians. They're frustrated, and they have a voice.
I mean, Wes Moore just got elected governor in Maryland, but Wes Moore, you know, he don't look like me. What I'm getting at is colorism is a real thing, and it plays not only in the black community but also with white folks and who they are willing to accept and vote for, because they feel a little bit more comfortable with certain black men that look a certain way. And it's only a small percentage that I'm thinking of that are in politics and succeeding and being placed in the leadership roles. Other than that, it is predominantly black women today. Right? So I understand when the guys in the barbershop, not mine, because obviously I ain't got no barber, but, you know, they're like, hey, man, they ain't for me.
But Ed, we need the fraternities to do what my sorority is doing. We need to be actively recruiting people and educating people to run for office.
I feel you.
The brothers who are all shades, colors, sizes, we need you brothers to
get
step
up and run.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I don't disagree with you, but I think there's an issue that the Democratic Party continues to do this, right? It's 2023, mark my words. Ain't nobody talking about registering us.
No.
But next year, September, oh my gosh, we got to get in the black community. Who do we need to talk to? We got to spend some money. We got to get out the black vote. Where you been for the last 4 years?
And it's not as easy for third parties to register voters, because why the legislatures of this country, in Florida in particular, have made it harder for us to register people to vote. Not impossible, but look, people, we got to wake up. I understand Jada wrote a book.
Who?
That's interesting. I did read Will's book. I didn't read Jada. But people are more inclined. A friend of mine posted information on her Facebook page. She's a columnist in Houston, and she got a lot more input and comments when she posted about her interview with Jada than any other topic. Come on, people. I mean, I get it. There's interest there, but we really need to look at issues that are affecting our lives and our children's lives.
I mean, if you're going to have that interview, you're going to have those discussions about the celebrities. How are they voting? Who are they supporting? Why? I think we'd be surprised by who they've actually supported, because they vote their pocketbook. Charles Barkley years ago was like, I'm a black Republican. He was like, because I'm rich. It was like, at the time, it was like, what? But when you thought about it, and the Republican Party is very different today, but their fiscal conservatism, low taxes, that appealed to people that were making a certain amount of money. So we understood it. Here's my question for you, though, Kathy. You know, I can't stay serious. If a man takes you to the Cheesecake Factory on a date for a first date, are you going to sit in the car and look at that man and not get out the car? That's what I want to know. Are you going to go to FaceTime or what is it, Instagram and Facebook Live and put him on blast?
No.
No?
No.
Why
But
not?
he wouldn't take me to the Cheesecake Factory.
Oh, snap. Why he ain't going to take you to the Cheesecake Factory?
Because usually they will take me to a more quiet and romantic setting. And the Cheesecake Factory, whereas I like the food, is usually kind of loud in there. And we usually go to a nice independent romantic spot.
Okay.
That's a bit more quiet and intimate.
Well, if you don't know what I'm alluding to, last week, I really think it's all a setup anyway. A lady goes on Instagram to record her first date. And she says, oh, my God, he's brought me to the Cheesecake Factory. I'm not getting out of this car. And she basically proceeds to film the whole interaction. And the guy was cool about it. I appreciate him being slick. And he was just like, hey, what's the problem? You want to talk about it? Let's talk about it. Well, we got to do it, for all of your followers. And, of course, she just went on with all of this stuff about it's a first date. And she wants to be courted and all. Ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah.
She's a relationship influencer?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, please, DJ Bezel, tell us up. What's going on? What?
The funny thing about it is that he had a reservation for a different restaurant. She showed up an hour late.
An hour late.
There we have it. But if a guy today, the brothers are smart though. They're taking you to coffee and tea first. You don't even get to the restaurant. So she should have been happy that she got to the restaurant on the first date.
So you're not gonna eat 48 oysters on the first date, is what you're saying?
No, because they usually will meet you for breakfast or coffee or something to check you out to see if they want to take you to a restaurant. So the fact that she got to go to a restaurant and she was late an hour. Thank you for informing us, giving us the truth.
Oh yeah, he blew
other
her up.
side of the story.
There's a lot of backlash on her part.
Mm-hmm. They ate her up.
Wow.
Her followers ate her up. But the other girl, she went on a date with old boy, and she was like, "Yeah, I want some oysters." And
she ate
48 oysters,
and she put it online.
First of all,
I thought that was good for the libido. I heard that, so he should have been excited. I mean,
not when that bill came. $185, whatever the bill was. He was like, "I'm not paying this. I invited you out for drinks. I didn't know you was gonna order all these." Listen.
Oh my God.
Monica and Rain, I love you to death. I'm so glad we're together because I don't know if I can survive today's dating.
It's rough out there, Ed. Keep her very happy, Ed.
Well, listen, folks, we're going to take a quick break before, we're done for the day, it looks like. They're kicking us up out of here. Kathy, thank you for coming on the show.
My pleasure, my brother.
Hour went by fine. We'll have to do this again soon because I want to find out if it's not the Cheesecake Factory, where should a man take a woman on a first date?
A nice, independent, quiet place.
No, we want to hear your favorite spots. But not
I'm
today.
telling you, I get to go to coffee and tea on the first date.
We want to know what those coffee spots are. You gotta hip the brothers in this studio to some game. You know what I'm saying? DJ Avalanche wants to know what's up.
Okay, next show.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in to Straight Up the Middle this week. This is your guest host, Ed and Rain, with Miss Kathy Times. We will see y'all the next time Clint Paris decides he wants to play golf.
Okay, thank you, Clint.
Have a great Saturday.